December 3rd, 2019 Board of Commission meetings. Please silence your cell phone, pagers, and other electronic communication devices. Agendas are located at the back of the chambers. If you would like to fill out a speaker request for any item on our agenda, the speaker requests are on the back of the bookcase, and you can hand them to Miss Holly to the left of our dais. First, we'll have a moment of silence reflection. Gary has a few words to say, and then a pledge of allegiance led by Gary Drews.
We just lost this past week Gail Holbrook, Commissioner of Pennington County. I think he served 12 years here during from about 2003 through I think 2012. And Gail, I think, was 94 years old. Hasn't been in very good health the last few months, but had served the community and the county well. So please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, Mark.
Next, we'll have the review and approval of the agenda.
So move.
Moved by Drews.
Second.
Second by DeSanto. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Recognition of staff volunteers of point of dispense exercise. Your name, sir?
Morning, Commission. Dustin Willett. I'm the Director of Emergency Management for Pennington County Emergency Management. I just wanted to take a few minutes of your time this morning. Emergency management spends a great deal of time planning, training, and exercising for events and building skill sets that hopefully we never have to actually use in the community. It's kind of an odd thing to spend a lot of energy on things you hope you never use. Point of dispensing is one of those. So points of dispensing is what is the process that we use when we need to deliver medication or other types of medical countermeasures to every single person in Pennington County in a given set of time. So it's a pretty tall order. It's we've got a lot of partners that we use to try to make that happen. Department of Health all the way up through CDC and Health and Human Services, even at the federal level. So that's the point of dispensing is a setup that we test and train on regularly. Our office is relatively small. We only have 3.6 people, although Pepper is 0.6, probably does more than any two of us combined. But we rely on technology when it works, but more importantly, we rely on the community and volunteers as force multipliers. We couldn't do this, just the four of us in the office. It's impossible. So we rely very, very heavily on volunteers in the community from different community organizations. And I just wanted to take a minute. I was really struck by the level of involvement and the volunteers that we had from county employees for this last pod exercise that we did. And I wanted to take just a minute this morning and recognize those Pennington County employees that volunteered their time and their talents to come help us prepare and execute this point of dispensing exercise. So some of them are here, some of them couldn't make it, but I'll just read their names and what they did for us. And if they're here, they can certainly come up, and I'd love to present them with a certificate of recognition. But John Kaiser with Central States Fairgrounds, he facilitated, obviously this was one of our backup locations, was at the event center. So John Kaiser was able to facilitate us getting in there and made that facility available. Awesome. You'd think I'd have these in the same order I was going to call people. So, thank you very, very, very much. And then if you stay up here, we'll probably get a picture, and they'll probably thank you all at once. I know PJ Conover is out right now, but PJ Conover came down and was our patient flow lead. So he wrangled the team that handled the patient flow through that. And then we have, I know Sandy's here, Sandy Sortland from HR, and she was our non-medical dispense team lead. Thank you so much, Sandy. Tammy Ellison from Sheriff's Office, outstanding.
Nice.
She was our runner team lead. There's a ton of paperwork that that goes on through this whole process, through intake all the way at the very end. And so we have people running forms everywhere. So you talk about getting your steps in and being active, and Tammy was our team lead for that and did a fantastic job. Kurt Weber, are you here? Kurt wasn't able to make it. Kurt was our security team lead, again from the sheriff's office, and then Sandy Delaney from the state's attorney's office. I don't think she was able to make it. She was our one of our data entry team members. So again, I just wanted to take a second and just thank the Pennington County employees that helped make this possible.
Justin. Take your time. Come on. I'm good. You guys are way more photogenic.
Thanks a lot.
All right, you gotta squeeze. All good. Thank you.
Oops, here, grow fast. It does grow fast, thank God. Right, kids.
I did not.
Next is the consent agenda, Ms. Holly.
One out in Hill City.
Lloyd, you behave at the end today?
Good morning, Commissioners. Holly Handy's Commission Office Manager. For public notice, the Board of Commissioners uses a consent agenda to act on non-controversial and routine items. The consent agenda is acted upon by one motion and vote of the board. Items may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda at the request of a board member or a citizen. Today's consent agenda contains the following items: approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of November 19th, 2019. Number 7 is to acknowledge the filing of petitions signed by at least 25% of the eligible voters in the area to be annexed and 25% of the eligible voters in the existing district, and to approve the resolution for the annexation request by the road district and to set an election date on the question of annexation to the Earth Drive Road District, which will be held on December 14th, 2019, as submitted by the auditor. Number 8 is to acknowledge disinterment permit number 1313015. And finally, number 9 is to confirm the reappointment of Mr. Alan Taylor as a Veteran Service Officer for the term of January 1, 2020 through the first Monday in January 2023.
Thank you, Ms. Holly. At this time, is there any members of the public who wish to remove any items from the consent agenda? Not, is there any commissioners who wish to remove any items from the consent agenda for further discussion?
Madam Chair, I'd move approval of the consent calendar.
Commissioner Drews with approval,
Second.
second by DeSanto. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next, we're on regular agendas, 10 through 15. Petition of, number 10 is the petition to vacate public right-of-way or section-lined highway. Miss Nancy Dunham. Or Miss Janelle Fink. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Janelle Fink. I'm with Fisk Land Surveying, and I am the agent for landowners Nancy and George Dunham. I have what I hope is a brief request for you today, maybe a little unusual. It was unusual to me. We're doing some work for the Dunhams, who own property in Southwest Rapid City. I don't know, some of you may be familiar with George and Nancy. They own the beautiful white house that you see as you drive down Sheridan Lake Road that's just behind the Arrowhead Golf Course. And they own quite a bit of property to the north and to the west that adjoins the golf course. They are in the process of platting a small lot from their large parcel that they are going to sell to a family friend, Keys Larson. And their property adjoins a very small triangle of Pennington County property that is an unplatted remnant or leftover. It's located at the intersection of Hideaway Lane and Hideaway Court. And the Dunhams, in order to provide the lot for Ms. Larson with the building site that they want, they need to vacate a portion of that existing undeveloped section line right-of-way that is on the Dunham's property. The Dunham's property is to the west of the section line. The Pennington County little wedge or parcel, it's kind of shown in the yellow outline, is to the east side. We are working through this process with Rapid City, and the Rapid City process requires that the adjoining landowner sign the petition for vacation of right-of-way. So in this instance, that would be Pennington County. So my request to you today is that you would authorize someone on behalf of the commissioners to sign the petition to vacate the portion of undeveloped section line right-of-way on the Dunham property. No access is compromised by this action because there's developed roads on either side with Hideaway Lane and Hideaway Court, and we're not doing anything that would impede or affect Pennington County's property. We just simply require your signature in order for them to proceed with their application with the city. I'd be happy to try and answer any questions.
Any questions or motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Ross Connect, second by LaCroy. Any questions? Not? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you, Ms. Janelle. Next is number 11, request to add Pennington County Street to county road system. Ms. Carol Hebe.
Carolyn is hard of hearing, so I just wanted to start with that. So we are here my name is Tammy Burke. I live at 1029 Pennington, and this is Carolyn Hebe. And what's your street address?
1279 Pennington.
We, the residents of Pennington Street north of A Avenue, are requesting the Pennington County Commission to place on the Pennington County road system our 2 blocks of Pennington Street be designated as an extension of street south of Avenue A to be on the same road system, the same services, repairs, and maintenance, including maintenance of the A Avenue intersection. We ask that the street will be repaired by the end or summer of 2020. And as you can see, we are the Valley Ridge area on the map there. It's the last 2 blocks. If you've ever driven up there, it leaves a little bit to be desired. We've had issues with getting plowed in the winter, especially this last weekend. I did see a Pennington County truck come through yesterday or Sunday, so that was good. Normally they do not come. A few years ago, I know I had called because they would use our cul-de-sac. I live up in the cul-de-sac to turn around, and that obviously caused issues. They'd never drop the blade, but they'd use it. The cities would use it to turn around because it is easy to go up into the cul-de-sac and turn around. So that is our request today.
Thank you. First, the Highway Department, please. Do you have some information, Superintendent Miller?
Good morning, Commission. Pennington County Highway Superintendent Joe Miller. First off, I'd like to start off with, we went out there and took some photos. I don't know what she's doing in there, but prior to this last snow on Monday, just to give you an idea of what the roads are like out in that city, or out in that portion of Valley Ridge. So a little background on there. Valley Ridge was developed back in, I think, 99 or 2000?
99.
Somewhere back there, and the developer had an agreement with the city to form an HOA. We learned this last week that, I'm not sure if that ever actually happened. There is a Valley Ridge Homeowners Association, which then created a road district, which is Tinton Road District.
Sorry, hold on just a sec. Joan, are we having a misfunction with our screen? Okay, thank you, Ms. Joan. We'll just get that done because we're all laughing at the thing here. Thank you.
Okay, you guys can see that, right? So we went out and, in lieu of this, took some pictures of that entire Valley Ridge area that's known as no man's land, as we call it. This map here has where we took the pictures. And as you can see, the roads are in dire need of repair. They've been neglected for almost 20 years. With no maintenance on them, water gets into these cracks and it really destroys the road. Talking with Bill Welk, our engineer, to do these streets right and get them back to a good, sufficient rating, the asphalt surface would have to be removed and all the grade and base would have to be recompacted underneath the asphalt surface, and then the asphalt surface be placed back. The city recently did same sort of work over in Big Sky subdivision that was also no man's land. I don't recall how long ago that was, but it was not that long ago. That low bidder on that came in at, I believe it was, a second here. The low bidder was at approximately $675,000. The lengths of those roads that were improved was about 8,200 feet. I'm not sure what the actual cost of that was when it was all said and done. We didn't find that information. The total amount of footage in the Valley Ridge subdivision is about 5,500 feet. So breaking down a cost per foot would cost about $500,000, and that was, 3-4 years ago when that was done. So by now, I'm sure it's that $600,000-$700,000 mark, and we don't know until we actually get in there to see what's actually in there, what it's going to cost. So I would like you to keep that in mind when you're thinking about this request. I think that's about all I've got. I'll answer any questions.
Thank you. Ms. Burke and Ms. Hebe, have you guys been asked to annex in the city since you are surrounded basically by city property?
There was a petition that went around about 2 years ago, and it failed. I signed it. I would, just because we're within 2 blocks everywhere we go
Right.
of the city. We are less than a mile from the school.
It is only 2 blocks that we are requesting to have added to the city, to the county road system. Just our 2 blocks north of A Avenue, and be considered as one street with the same services. It's not going to be that big a expense as it would if you took the whole area.
Commissioners?
Joe, go
Commissioner
ahead. I think you're going to answer the question I was going to ask.
My thoughts on that, we can't, as a county, add just Pennington Street. If we are to add just Pennington Street, we need to look at the whole area and add the whole area if that's what you guys so desire. I don't think it's fair to everybody else, and we would have another request next week for somebody else to do it.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner,
Say, Joe, is there any pending action? Obviously, this wasn't done right in the first place, or we wouldn't be here today having this discussion. So is there any pending action with the developer or contractors that the developer used at that time? So they're out of the picture now.
Correct.
So it's the city or the county,
Correct.
or a combination thereof?
Correct. And we did talk with the city at the request of the board of, was when I first started, last January or February. I don't recall the time frame, but the city indicated at that time that they were not interested in taking anything else into the city.
And then today, if we said, sure, we'll do it, we could be 500, 600,000, and that would have to almost go through a budget process before we could say yes or no, wouldn't it?
Correct. And our budget for 2020 is already set. We have approximately 700,000 in there for an overlay, which is to be done on Spring Creek, and that's been pushed back for 3 years now to get the Lower Spring Creek.
Regarding the streets in the county, I don't think we'd ever say no if we had the funds to do it. I don't think we'd ever say no. I sympathize with you living in that situation, but we have to sit there and look at our funds to make sure that we can proceed with the other obligations that we have. How about the snow plowing? If the county could help you out on the snow plowing, would that help any?
Snow plowing would be a big thing. I know in the cul-de-sac right now, pretty heavy snow that we had, we have drifts, just the cul-de-sac, it winds like this, like a tornado. I had parts of my driveway that were empty, and then I have a 6-foot drift at the end of my driveway. So yes, that would help. And then looking to the future, if that's possible, to look at getting those roads even maintained a little bit, even if the potholes were filled in. I don't know if that's, I have no idea. I defer to experts on that, but that obviously snow plowing would help.
I think that the county and the city should try to work together and see a long-term solution, but I don't think that solution is going to be here today.
Thank you, Ron. There was some issues on Big Sky and DeGeest, and the city did annex them in. When I was on the city council, they tried to take the developer to task, and that did not work.
Correct.
So, bottom line is, I think if you sign a petition to be annexed in, and you can get your people to do that, that's probably your best bet, especially with the cost of these roads. Most of them were in HOAs. This has been on the agenda, I think, since we've been around, Lloyd, and longer. This keeps coming up. But I think the bottom line, your best bet is going to be to try to get annexed into the city and get those roads fixed. Because once you sign those petitions, I think I'm going to guess that those commissioners or those city council people are not going to say no to somebody that wants to come in the city.
Madam Chair.
Madam,
Commissioner DeSanto.
You were on the city council at the time of all that,
Yes.
and why didn't they include this one little piece? You have any idea? That was 10 years
Actually,
ago.
that was after us, the annexation of these roads. I think before they would fix the roads, that's why I'm trying to tell
Oh,
these ladies.
gotcha, right.
Until they would fix these roads, they annexed these people in, and I don't know, Ms. Burke said they tried to get their group to annex in, and they didn't want to. So part of trying to get this solution done is they need an annexation.
Sure,
Yeah.
I get that.
Was,
Sir, I can probably answer part of that.
I-
The city wanted to take
Sir,
this on.
sir, hold on a sec. Commissioner LaCroix,
I was just going to follow up on that because we had great discussions on this at the city point, and we had lawsuits against the developer and went after him because there was a surety bond that ended up expiring before it was all approved, and so that the lawsuits drew out for so long, and they weren't successful. So then the only other option the city had was to annex in, and so that's where the petition come. And once they got annexed in, they took ownership of the roads and so forth. So that's how the other parts got fixed.
okay, your name, sir? Give me just a sec.
John Hill, I'm on Pennington Lane in Valley Ridge, but we are a road district on Pennington Lane only, and that's part of the problem with the city because we are a road district. That encompassing a road district into the city was part of the setback of becoming part of the city. So we would have to probably dissolve the road district to go into the city. So we are part of Valley Ridge. We are the original first street that was put in. It was put in 3 sections, and then they built the rest. So we have a separate covenants from the rest of Valley Ridge. Our covenants is nothing like theirs. So we became our own road district. And the covenants out there say that you are to form a committee to collect dues, to maintain the roads, to clear the roads. We have 28 homes on Pennington Lane. We found that with just 28 homes is an impossibility. It doesn't work. So the rest of Valley Ridge, there's a lot more homes. there's no way they'd be able to collect dues. I know that, I'm the president, and it won't work. So we became a road district and let the county collect the taxes for us. We bought our own plow truck, and we've had our streets repaired ourselves, and that's how we resolved the problem. But he was talking about possibly if they encompassed all of Valley Ridge, and if they did that, then we would probably dissolve our road district and go into the county, because I just assume I'd have to plow the street, but that's what would have to be done.
Thank you for your sharing. Commissioner DeSanto.
So the answer to my question is that because there was, that part of that small little block was a road district is why the city decided to exclude
Part of the reason.
that.
And I,
The people, a lot of them didn't want it. They didn't want to be part of the city. They
I
want
see.
the taxes to go up, the sales tax revenue to go up. They wanted to stay at 4%. So a lot of them said yes, a lot of them said no, and they couldn't get an agreement.
I see.
I think a lot of it was,
Commissioner LaCroix.
Sorry. Just to answer, we're kind of working through some other ones like this, and as you just mentioned, some of the reasons why the city doesn't, they get picky on what they want to annex is because some ain't up to their standards, and so in order to annex in to get the services, they want it up to their standards, which costs too much to do. Am I correct?
that's correct, and that was a bit, another part of why they didn't annex Big Sky. If Mark informed me, back when they did annex Big Sky, they didn't have the funding to do all of it. So that's why they did a piece of it. I'm not sure if they had intention to do the rest of it at a later date or not. The talks we had with the city last year, that wasn't the indication that I got. They're not interested in annexing.
Well, Joseph, they still have South Pitch and the other ones on their Avenue A that are just as bad as what we've seen on these roads, and they haven't fixed theirs yet either?
I can't speak for.
No.
You're saying those are city ones?
Yes.
Go ahead.
You can see here's the city line, Gary.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is where these guys are at. And you guys, have you tried to form a HOA?
When we moved in 15 years ago, we were told there was one. We tried to find who was in charge of it. There wasn't anybody in charge, and there's never been anything since. But I have not tried to form a homeowners association.
The other option would be, Tinton Lane formed their own road district, and there's actually another road district out here.
Yep.
Let's see if I can pull that up here. Windmere. It is.
So is this all county, or is White, is that all county?
There's another road district out here, and you guys may remember, I believe it was last commission meeting, they were here asking for the approval of their speed limit. So there are a couple of road districts out there there's one, there's two, there's three, there's another road district over here as well. So there are several road districts in amongst the county roads. That would be another viable option for the folks in the Valley Ridge subdivision would be, if they had enough signatures on that petition, there looked like there's enough people in support to form that road district, they could do that as well.
Thank you.
What would that entail to have a road district? It would not work if, for our district, because a lot of them would want to stay in the county and be part of the county, as we are in the county.
Ms. Hebe.
We are, and being on Pennington Street, it already is a street that is continuous, where the other streets are not on a continuous street in our area, or on the Valley Ridge area.
So Ms. Hebe,
And
if
we
you
would like
want
to stay as one street.
Okay.
Yep.
At this point, I think you need to get with our highway department, Ms. Burke and Ms. Hebe, and they can kind of direct you in the direction of doing a road district or what that solution is. At this point, I think that's the best solution for you right now, only because of the street cost and the things that our superintendent is telling us, and that we already have priorities that are way ahead of this street at this point to fix. If you wanted solutions, though, I think the best thing right now is to talk to our superintendent, Miller, and Mr. Schock, and they will help you on how to move that forward.
Well, I have talked to to Dale Pively. He told me to have the county commission put us on the road system,
Right.
and that is what we want. There's no one in our two streets that could possibly support a road district.
Okay. So,
And people come and go constantly, so it's very unstable.
Ms. Burke, maybe you could get with Ms. Hebe and then see if we can move this forward and maybe come back if you found a solution with our superintendent, and he will also keep us informed.
I'm sorry,
What's
I'm
happening.
hard of hearing. I lost one of my hearing aids. So,
We'll meet with
yes,
him and then we'll
okay.
come back.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
at this point in time, without putting this on the county highway system, can we instruct Joe to at least plow so that because I've been down that street and, I mean,
If
it would be impossible to get out of there after this storm last week,
I just
or
want-
impossible to get a fire.
Well, the solution is to plow those in emergency situations, but we also have a road district right next to us that has to pay to get theirs plowed and
Right.
have a HOA. So the solution is, if you're going to plow one, you should probably plow all.
And I do want to remind you, I don't recall the statutes off the top of my head. There are statutes that state we can't expend funds on non-county roads. It's a combination of statutes, state statutes, that road and bridge funds are to be spent on county roads.
So Joe, we had directed you as a commission before, maybe not you, but Tom or the highway department, on when this road had like emergency, I think, situations or something where they needed it, and, in case something happened in that district, that we need to do it. Other than that, we weren't gonna plow it if it was just, am I correct?
Yes, and that's what we have been doing, and that's why Carolyn and Miss Burke here, seen a county plow in there on Sunday. We did go open it up. It wasn't a main priority. We did do it towards the end of the day, but it did get a couple, at least one lane through there, so emergency services can get in and get to those people.
So we okay with that? Or just to make sure they're taken care of in the situations where they need to, and the other, maybe form a road district or something else to do that a little bit further forward.
I would say that until they get something finalized, that we at least try to plow just as much as we can as some type of a compromise.
Yep, and we're doing that now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner LeCroy.
Your comment is the commission works diligently to resolve some of these issues, and we've got quite a few of them in our community of these undesignated roads. And so I feel for you, because a lot of times you move in and you don't even know. When you bought the purchase, you see a road, you automatically think you're in. And it's unfortunate that it's come to this. Please sit down with Joe and Cindy and try to understand the taxing system to get it going. I know it's going to seem impossible to get it up to where everybody's, because you're going to the city and they're saying to go to the county, and the county's going to go back to the city.
That's exactly right.
And that, so we're saying do a road district, and you'll do a road district, and then you'll come back, you don't have the funds to get it up to standard for us to take it over, and we'll all be back in there again. We need to sit down, and we are starting some discussions with the city to try and work these out. And it's a long process, because it is, just as I said, the city has their standards, and we've just got to be able to work together to try to get to the point to serve the residents, not for each entity. And I think we're getting there. There are some discussions going on. I just wanted to share that. And it would almost be the education of having a packet made up for to be able to distribute for the situation of what could be done and how to do it. You know, the road district, where's the money come from to help educate some of these people so they don't get as frustrated. They can try and follow the steps.
And maybe your solution is to have a meeting of your people and have Joe and either Cindy or whoever knows the most about these road districts there to help you through. And then if you need commissioners there, Joe or Cindy or staff members, some of us can go and listen and try to help the situation by being there and helping you guys to know about the road districts. It's always helpful for us. So we're willing to help you to the next step. We're not saying we're trying to shut you down. We just want to make sure that you're getting the help you need to know all the information, Miss Burke,
We appreciate
Miss
that.
Heeb. Thank you, Miss Cindy.
I just wanted to let them know, we do have a packet up in the auditor's office that instructs you how to form a road district. And I am on Avenue A. I'm right out in that no man's land too.
So there is help for you to move to the next step. And we are here for you. You can call us at any time. Miss Holly has our numbers. If you have some questions or you want one or two of us to go out there and help with you. DeSanto, I think you're that district.
I am.
But we're willing to help Mr. DeSanto and you guys move forward with this. So,
Thank you.
And Madam Chair,
yes, sir.
Joe, if you do arrange a meeting with these folks, let me know so that I can attend the meeting as well. Because this has been going on for pretty close to 15 years. I lived in that neighborhood as well on Hanson Lane, and I moved out the year before they fixed the roads, when all the debate was going on as to who was responsible for it.
The lawsuits.
And it does kind of surprise me that this wasn't included in that whole discussion, because it was the builder that built the rest of Big Sky built that as well. And so that one, it puzzles me why that one little piece wasn't part of the whole picture. But I'll get more information on that, historically speaking, and figure out what the story was. But I do think that probably one of the best solutions is Foreman Road District. I know that it's difficult to get all those people to agree to that, but if they're not getting out of their driveways either, maybe they have the incentive now. Right now would be a good time to go around and knock on some doors.
That's exactly what we said.
Yeah. So
Very
anyhow,
timely.
I am willing to help, and I'd like to be in the meeting when you guys have a meeting, and we'll see what we can get done.
Thank you. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for bringing this forward to us. Hopefully we get you some solution. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Joe. Next, we have a lien release. Ms. Holly, you see,
Commissioners, I do not see the applicant in the audience. He was contacted and sent the agenda, so he knows when he was supposed to be here.
okay,
So your options are to continue, to deny, to
Madam Chair,
do what you
Commissioner?
wish.
I'd make a motion to deny the request.
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank
Item
you, ma'am.
13, budget supplement. That'd be Miss Cindy today. We got a few from you, Miss Cindy.
I always get to bear the bad news about budgets, right? Okay, under number 13, we have the budget supplement 19-20, which is a general fund abuse and neglect budget supplement. And the amount that we're looking at is $75,000, and that would be from the unassigned fund balance.
So, Miss Cindy, just a question on the reserves. Where are we at as of November on our reserves? Because this unassigned is from our reserves, am I correct?
That's correct. It's really hard to give you an idea of where we would be at the end of the year based on November numbers,
Okay,
because in December, a lot of things tend to happen. As far as spending, people hold off on major purchases just in case they have an emergency along the way in their department. So spending is usually more in December. I did kind of do a quick analyzing of where I'm hoping we will be, and I'd say we'll be sitting at about 14.5% for reserves at the end of December. And that is taking these budget supplements into account.
Thank you, Miss Cindy. Questions
Good news.
on number 8 or a motion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Drews.
it would appear to me that we need to be working with the court system relative to where we're going with this in the future. This has grown substantially in the last few years, and I don't think we have any clear direction as to what needs to be done in order to either try to curtail this or come to some kind of resolve where we're getting by economically at a better pace than where we're at. So I'm not opposed to doing the supplement, but I just think that something needs to be done to figure out what happens in the future here.
Miss Cindy, can you tell us, when we do these unassigned, meaning general fund, court budget, and abuse and neglect, are those ones that we have to do according to state law? I mean, how does that work?
We don't want to overdraw those budgets, or that will reflect in our annual audit. So in order to cover the expenditures and not get written up in our annual audit, yes, we should do the budget supplements.
Do you see any solution, like Commissioner Drew says, in how we make that difference where we're just missing the boat trying to put a certain amount in there, and then we're not, is it just gonna be like this no matter what?
It does seem like every year we end up doing a supplement. We kind of try to increase that budget every year. And I don't work in the law enforcement or the courts, and I don't know what the answer is to help start to curb some of these costs for the county residents.
So do they ever have a budget with a line item of what they're spending money on instead of just, this is this amount, this is, meaning, what are they actually, is it for, like, the judges? I mean, I don't know exactly what that's spent on.
All of the abuse and neglect budget and all of the court-appointed attorney budgets are for attorney fees only.
Right.
There is nothing else in those budgets. The A&N budget is to represent maybe a parent, maybe another child, and then, of course, the court-appointed are the court-appointed attorneys for the criminal cases.
Madam Chair. Or you can go ahead.
No, you were going to ask first. Go ahead.
Commissioner
Probably
LaCroix.
asking the same question I'm asking, because you and I have been part of this. Yeah, Mark and I are on the Public Defenders Board, and we've met, and this has been the discussion of the costs going up, and we've thrown around some solutions, and we actually need to meet more often, I think, to get and nail it down, because we are required, and that's the frustrating, some of the spread out. One of the prime example is you get 3 offenders that all did something. Well, then they all have to have 3 different attorneys and 2 from outside and only 1 from inside, because then it's conflict of
That new
interest.
law?
It is.
Was?
And so they've done a very good job, I think, of nailing down the affordability of getting to that point. When you apply for a court-appointed attorney, you have to meet income range and being able to pay it back. They've been working on that routes, but it's a lot more complicated than sitting down and saying this is what it's going to be for the year. But there are some solutions that I believe Minnehaha is doing some different stuff, and those are some things that we looked at.
Well, the bottom line is, and Gary's right, the increase is 121.5% for children and 76.7% for adults. We need to help our system in where we need to go, maybe with the sheriff and the state's attorney, or I don't know what we do, but
Madam Chair,
prevention.
it's directly related to the number of cases we're having to prosecute and defend. And how do you guess how many cases are, crime seems to be all around, not just drug crime, but everything else on an increase. And so, but it probably all filters back to drugs at one point in time or another. But yeah, that's the problem, is that we have no idea how many how many cases we're gonna have to prosecute and defend throughout the year.
Well,
So it's a guess.
didn't they start doing like video,
Yeah.
some
of those.
conference or for lower offender type situations and things like that, so they didn't have to have a attorney there. I know Fifley was working, he said he was working on a few things, Judge Fifley, sorry, on some of that. Jay, can you fill us in? Maybe we're,
Jay Alderman with the State's Attorney's Office. Everything you've been taught, it is a multifaceted issue or topic. Takes a lot of different entities from the prosecution, defense, the court system. You know, the court system is who appoints the attorneys. No one else does that. So they're uniquely in that position to determine who needs an attorney and when they appoint them and for what reasons and so forth. And I know Judge Fifley has come here before, usually at budget time, I think, and kind of explained a little bit about that, but maybe there's more questions that can be asked of the judicial system and what their response might be to solutions if they see some. But what Commissioner LaCroix is talking about is yes, all of these different options are out there to see what can be done to still provide all of the rights that everyone in the system is deserving of course, by law, but to also cut costs where it's possible and reasonable to do so. And it takes a lot of people working on that. But yeah, I mean, every case that comes in is potentially set up to require any number of attorneys, particularly the abuse and neglect cases that may have multiple parents and children involved. You can have a number of attorneys on one case. But yeah, I don't have a solution for you today, but you're right in talking about it. There's a lot of folks involved, and maybe it'd be a good thing soon, or at least at budget time, to get a discussion going from everybody, from the court system, public defender, state's attorney, what programs they're utilizing. If there's something Minnehaha County is doing that we're unaware of that somehow is reduced their court appointments for both the criminal side and the civil abuse and neglect side, that'd be wonderful to know. And
well, and you're right, Jay, because we wanted to work on some of our budget issues for next year, and this would be one more on the list that maybe we could assign certain groups of us to certain areas to work on budget areas that we're interested in, like if Mark and Lloyd are interested in like court services systems and meeting with a group of people and how we make that, maybe finding a solution with them and doing things like that. I think that way we're all not doing leadership or just doing, it should be our team that's kind of getting pieces and parts for our next year budget to make it even better than it was last year or the years before. I think that's how we get ahead of that game.
Madam Chair. Thank you. I personally, I think we're cutting ourselves short. I think we do an outstanding job of what we're doing. I mean, if you look at Mark Vargo was just in here no more than a couple of weeks ago about alternatives and some of the deferral programs that they're working for and how much money it has saved. Some of the things, the reformative justice grant that we have is doing a lot of stuff. We could be in a lot worse shape than we are right now if some of these other programs hadn't been taken off and being used. I mean, the young offender one, I think they expanded from when they first started that out. 21 was the age limit or something along those.
18 to 25. Now it's 18 to however old you can be.
Yeah, and that's kind of a to get them out of the system. I mean, we are doing some good things. It's unfortunately at some points it comes down to the money, but we are saving taxpayers quite a bit of money by the reform to justice and some of the things that have happened, and maybe we could get a refresher course of what some of the things that are happening, so we can praise them for them.
Yep.
Madam Chair.
No question the diversion programs have been a significant eaten into the number of cases that you would have had attorneys pointed on that would have been in the system. So there's no doubt that's
and
working.
it would be nice to do comparables with like Sioux Falls and other areas. Yeah. Just I'm sure they have the same programs and things that we have, but I think a team of people that's going in and looking at all the programs we have and what the state's attorney, I think we'd, as a team of commissioners, we'd have a better understanding with two people or one person being involved and saying, okay, these are all the programs I've seen, this is what we have. So when we get up to budget time, we have more of an understanding. We do have people talk to us, Judge Fifley and others, but I think just like Care Campus or anything else we've done, we just got more understanding of it. And then I still believe there commissioners can make that solution if we're seeing things that when you find something and you can move that forward a lot faster than just having it go through the system in a way that you think would help our budget. So
Madam Chair,
not that they're not doing any of that, but
some of the
Commissioner
solution
DeSanto.
also lies upon our state legislature. Some changes need to be made, or we are in discussion. I don't think anybody's come to a conclusion yet about changes that need to be made on specific types of arrests and that, and whether they're felonies or
Yes, sir.
misdemeanors that could substantially impact the number of cases that we're prosecuting and defending. So
That is true.
that's just it takes time, but I think Lloyd's right. I think that they've done a lot to address it, but how do you effectively address societal issues that just continue to grow like they have been? I mean that's the tough part.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner
And we get
Roskinek.
saddled with handling it.
Sorry.
it's hard to fix the problem if you don't know what the problem is. To me, this would be easier to swallow if we had the data, like they click for the Care Campus, so we could sit there and say, we got more judges, we got more attorneys getting involved, but could we break down and find out, well, where's the problem? Is it drugs? Is it alcohol, finances? So that we could have some type of a chart that would show us, that we could look at from period to period to see where the problem is. What is the problem? Is it meth, or is it alcohol, or is there any, that would help me to sit there and look at this, if you can identify it, then you can start fixing it.
Right.
We're off
Madam Chair.
subject. We keep going, but it's good. I'm letting you speak because thank you, Jay, for helping us. But it's a big
Yeah.
thing for us. And no, I don't think we know all the information, but I believe both sides. I think there is lots of very positive things, but anything we could do better, and to see some of that data is not gonna, and maybe that data is out there, and maybe with Holly's help or with the sheriff or our state's attorney, we can see some of that up straight and personal a little bit in some kind of filing that we can go and get our hands and our heads wrapped around it. So,
Well, Madam Chair, there are some situations that the county and the state and the feds just have no control over, and the people themselves need to address it and start
Right.
figuring out how to correct it. Because, I mean, that's a, sad fact that
Right.
we can't help everybody. They need, society needs to start helping themselves.
I think the bottom line is we're all in agreement with that, but
But
my
we're gonna do what we can.
yes, I think we're already doing what we can, but I still believe when you work with the people that are involved as commissioners, you can get more things done, and you can see more of that solution of where we're going in that direction. So the budget is actually reflecting on what's that direction is going at this point, way before it hits there. I guess that's my bottom line.
One final
So,
comment,
Madam
please.
Chair, I move to approve the budget supplement SP 19-20 to the general fund abuse and neglect budget in the amount of 75,000 from unassigned fund
Second.
balance.
I think he just called the question. Moved by Roskinek to approve, and the second by
LaCroy.
LaCroy. All right, anything else? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Number 2, do we have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Motion by Drews, second by
LaCroy.
LaCroy. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries. Item number 3, that's for cumulative building master refinance budget amount of $927,850 from restricted for debt service fund balance. Questions or motion?
Move for approval.
Moved by LaCroy,
Second.
Second by Ross Connect. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries. Item 4, general fund weed and pest budget, supplement pest budget in the amount of $37,000 for current year revenue.
So
Motion,
moved.
Drews. Is there a second?
Second.
LaCroy? Any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner DeSanto.
I do want to point out that even though we're making this budget supplement a great, I don't have the exact number right now, but a large portion of this $37,000 was also generated in revenue by grants and the shaded fuel break, lit timber sales, and those types of things.
I think all of it was, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
All of it? Okay.
Awesome.
Good. But I just wanted to make sure everybody knows that
Good
they
information.
did their work to come up with the money to get this done.
Thank you, Commissioner DeSanto. There was a motion to approve by Drew, second by LaCroy. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries. Item number 5 is 24/7 program. Approve supplement SP 19-0-24 to the 2019 24/7 fund program budget in the amount of $55,000. Do we have a motion or discussion?
Move for approval.
Moved by LaCroy, second by DeSanto. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 6 is moved to approve the supplement SPs 19-0-25 to the general fund jail budget, $50,000 from the current year revenue.
So moved.
Moved by Drews,
Second.
second by Ross Connect. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Capital Project Fund, motion to move the budget supplement SP 19-20-026 to the Capital Project Fund as follows: county health budget, an amount of $5,637. Jail expansion remodel budget, an amount of $3,402,684, and the county health facility phase 2 budget, an amount of $2,097,358 from restricted fund balance. Motion or discussion?
Move for approval.
Motion
Second.
by LaCroy, second by Drews. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Number 8 is a cumulative building fund stalling barn budget. To approve the budget supplement SP 19-0-27 to the 2019 accumulative building stalling barn budget in the amount of $395,000 from restricted fund balance.
So moved.
Moved by Drews,
Second.
second by DeSanto. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries. Item B, public hearing, renewal of packaged liquor off-sale license, Johnson Siding General Store. Miss Cindy?
I don't know if the applicant is here.
The applicant here, is this for Johnson Siding General Store?
Yes.
Anybody here?
Not seeing anyone in attendance. This is the one that they do have some septic issues, and Jay can speak to that. And they also have not paid their second half property taxes yet. And the last we talked to the state, they did have some sales tax issues also. So they won't be getting their license based on those things. Even if you would approve it, we'd have to wait until all of that was cleared up.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner LaCroy?
Legally, Jay, can we withhold? I think the main reason why before now this seems to be news to me with the tax stuff, but I mean we were kind of holding back because of the septic issues and the health of the area. Legally, can we do that?
Jay Alderman with the State's Attorney's Office, I would say no.
Right.
Okay.
Your authorization there is on the suitability of the applicant or the suitability of the location of the licensed premises. And those are really tied directly to the operation of the liquor license itself. I don't really see an honest nexus between that and a septic system. And as you know, of course, our planning and zoning department has the septic ordinance that they can seek to impose a violation or gain compliance, and entirely separate from this liquor issue. So I would recommend that that's how that piece of it would proceed, through our zoning ordinance. As to the taxes, there is a specific state statute that clearly provides you can deny a renewal, excuse me, if they owe any kind of state tax or county property tax. So you have grounds today to deny this renewal based on state law for delinquent taxes.
Thank you.
And last I knew, those were still delinquent. And I understand through planning and zoning that the applicant is aware of that they would need to make good on that. And I was, of course, hoping the applicant would show today and let you know I paid them, here's the receipt, something. But,
So Cindy, tell me one more time, what were the issues on your basis of
The
the,
property taxes, and then also the Department of Revenue has indicated that that they have an issue with their sales tax.
so based on that, you usually deny them?
You could approve it pending they clear up those items. This is kind of a unique license because it is one of the only packaged liquor licenses that we have in the county. And if they lose that, they will not be able to get another liquor license for that location.
Tell me about a packaged liquor license, what that means, Miss Cindy.
Explain that one, Jake. Exactly.
I think it's an off-sell package liquor license, so it's like going into a liquor store, you can't maybe drink it on the premises, that's on sale. This is off-sell, you can buy it and leave and take it home. And I think that's what it is, it's an
Basically,
off-sell package.
they're selling
liquor
it in their general store.
license. To leave with it, not to consume it on the premises.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Roskinick.
I really find it interesting that a septic company can pump 2,700 gallons out of a 2,000-gallon tank. Is that a septic system or a holding tank?
That I don't know, and there's no one.
Well, I'll make the motion to deny until they pay their property taxes and their sales tax, but I won't support denying it based on a septic system that is malfunctioning. That should be under, as you said, that should be up to county to handle that in a different manner.
I'd second the
Chair?
motion.
Well, hold on a sec. Let's do the motion, and then we'll let you follow up, Commissioner
second the
Roskinick.
motion.
So
So he
there's a
seconded
motion
it.
and a second by Drews, motion by Roskinick. Roskinick, follow up on your discussion if you'd like to discuss any more on what you're talking about.
No, I totally agree that that license, that on-sale license shouldn't be permitted until they pay their property taxes and applicable sales tax, but not on the basis that the septic system is malfunctioning or is supposedly malfunctioning.
All right, Commissioner DeSanto, you're next, sir.
Madam Chair, I would respectfully request that Mr. Roskinick change his motion or amend his motion to approve pending their payment of taxes, not deny pending their payment of taxes.
I will change that motion to approve once the sales tax is paid and applicable property tax, but not on the basis of a malfunctioning septic system.
Drews, you're okay? Thank you for that amendment,
Thank
or
you, Mark.
that help, Commissioner DeSanto. Did you get that, Ms. Carroll? Okay. Commissioner LaCroix, did you have something?
No.
Okay, so
I'm
we're all
just-
on the same page? All right.
My question.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Jay, for your help, and Miss Cindy. Next, sister. New off-sale malt beverage license, South Dakota farm wine license, and new retail wine and cider, Mexico, Tobacco. We have a motion?
Move for approval.
This is,
Mexico. Tapio.
First was item B, and this is item C on public hearing.
Right.
We have a motion?
Move to approve.
Moved by Roskinick,
Second.
second by DeSanto. Any discussion?
where's the exact location of this?
On Hysiga Road, I believe.
It's the old fireside out on Hysiga Road.
I see that.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries. Item 14, fleet vehicle purchase, to award a bid of purchase of two used 2019 Chevrolet Malibus to deny Denny Menholz Chevrolet for a total price, including trade of value, $26,480. Motion or discussion?
Move for approval.
Moved by LaCroix,
Second.
second by DeSanto. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries. Next, we have abatements, applications. Shannon Rittberger.
Good morning, Shannon Rittberger, Director of Equalization. These are two very simple abatement requests that come to you from my office, but I'd like to make a short explanation. These are both mobile homes. The Sheriff's Office has determined that they're uncollectible. They are no longer in Pennington County. They've left. They left without a moving permit. The process typically, the property owner or truck driver, whatever, somebody gets a moving permit. The point of the moving permit is so the county assessor knows that the trailer house is leaving and that the taxes can be collected before it leaves. That doesn't always happen. If it did, we wouldn't be here because the taxes would be paid and we'd have these things off the tax roll. That's the normal process. It didn't happen here, but the end result is these mobile homes aren't here anymore, and we need to take them off the tax roll. And the sheriff's office is very good at taking money from people, and they have determined that there's nobody to take money from here, and the trailer houses aren't here. So that's the reason for the abatement
Move
request.
for approval.
Second.
Moved by DeSanto, second by Drews. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now it's time for a break board, and is there a motion till
So-
10:30?
Move for break.
Second,
Moved by Ross Connect, second by
LaCroix.
LaCroix. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. What'd you say, Ms. Adjustment, we're looking. Okay,
Okay.
Everybody ready?
I'd make a motion that we go to the Board of Adjustment.
Motion to go into Board of Adjustment by Drew, second by LaCroix. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. I'm gonna have you guys raise your finger if you said a motion.
Morning, Commissioners. Jason
Morning,
Fennison,
Jason.
County Planner. Agenda item A is variance 1914. Applicants are Brent and Jackie Swanson. Applicants are requesting a variance to zoning to reduce the minimum required front line setback from 25 feet to 11 feet in order to build a shed on an existing concrete pad. The zoning ordinance requires the Board of Adjustment to ascertain that 4 specific criteria are met. Those 4 criteria are up on the screen for you to review as I read the answers. Number 1, staff has verified through a site visit that there are no particular conditions as noted above which warrant approval of variance 1914. There appears to be adequate room to place the shed in other locations than what is being requested. Number 2, this setback variance would not grant a use which is otherwise excluded from property zoning as general agriculture district. Number 3, strict application of the zoning ordinance will require the applicant to meet or exceed a 25-foot setback requirement. And lastly, number 4, granting the setback variance would allow for a reduced setback in a general agriculture district which is not in harmony with general purpose or intent of the zoning ordinance. And additionally, the Pennington County Highway Department has expressed concerns and is not in favor of reducing the front yard setback. As the property sits today, it's zoned general agriculture district consisting of 2 acres. Takes access off Murphy Road. There is no special flood hazard area on the property as it's unstudied. The lot contains a single-family residence, an on-site wastewater treatment system, and a partially constructed shed. The request was sent out for interdepartmental review, and County Highway Department, as I noted, is not in favor of reducing front yard setbacks. I did conduct a site visit on November 14th and noted that construction of the shed was currently underway. If the variance is approved, the applicant will need to apply for a building permit and pay any associated penalty fees with that. Staff is not in favor of any variance waiving Pennington County zoning ordinance requirements and believes there are other suitable locations for placement of a shed on the subject property. However, if the Board of Adjustment chooses to approve variance 1914, staff recommends 2 conditions be included.
Thank you, Jason. How close is it to the county road?
11 feet.
Okay, thank you. Swanson? If you'd like to come up, come on up. You're just gonna explain basically what the staff has said and why you need it in the front yard and why you want the shed where it's at and that kind of thing, sir?
Technically, I wouldn't call it the front yard, for one. This is kind of behind our property. The front yard's on the other side.
Okay.
That's one thing. I'm going to plead a little bit of ignorance here. The pad was already there, and we made some assumptions because it was there. We thought the pad was just the beginning of a building, and we didn't want to waste the pad, so we started construction. And the friend who's helping us, we assumed he knew more than we did. He thought we knew more than we did. And we started talking, and then that's when we called the county. That's why it's partially constructed. And once we realized we needed a variance, we stopped construction. So what started it was the pad itself, and then we came to the county. You know, it's our fault. We understand that we made some mistakes here, and we're not going to hold a grudge if you say no to it. But it's just a simple shed, and we only have our closest neighbor is half a mile. So I don't know. It doesn't seem to be impeding anyone's vision, and it doesn't seem to be an eyesore. And it is behind the house and not up front too. Madam Chair.
Commissioner DeSanto.
While I, in most cases, because of the general ag and where you're located and everything, I wouldn't have any problem with this whatsoever. The problem that I have is that highway is concerned about it being so close to the road. That's my only issue with this. Right. Otherwise, I'd tell you to build a shed wherever you want to on that property. But if we'd had the chance, if we'd asked somebody ahead of time, we would have put a pad somewhere else. This is just because it was there. Yeah, but being that it's 11 feet from the road, I have a hard time with that.
Mr. Swanson, someone might have put that pad there and figured out that they probably weren't going to get a variance or that wasn't a good spot based on the road as well and didn't build it. So there might be kind of a couple things happening there as well. Can we hear from Joe, how close this is to the road, what that matters in the sense, is this shed going to be an issue for highway where it's at?
Joe Miller, Pennington County Highway Department. Is this, I guess, trying to get my bearings here, which way is north on here?
At the top.
So
Murphy Road is on the
runs
north
east
side
to
of
west?
yeah.
Okay. You know, the highway is concerned. Murphy Road is a county road, and the clear zone is depending on you know, the speed of the road, which I don't recall on Murphy Road right off the top of my head what the speed limit on that road is. You know, it can be a crash hazard being that close to the road. Somebody comes off the road and hits that shed. You know, it's likely to do some damage. And then the other thing, with it being on the south side of Murphy Road, it's probably not so much of an issue due to our wind is normally out of the northwest. You know, it can cause drifting hazards. You know, this last storm, the wind did come out of the south, so it can cause drifting hazards across the road. Other than that, that's why Highway Department is concerned with it.
What's the width of the road right now, Joe?
The road top surface, I don't know the exact number. I would assume it's a 20 or 22 foot road top, but I don't know that for sure.
Okay. And so with a 22, what is the right-of-way distance that you usually have in order for anybody to be close to that road without being a hazard?
Be from the center.
Because you only got 22 feet. Usually, do you plan on expanding it to 24-foot road anytime soon, that kind of thing, Joe? Because where's that put that shed at then?
You know, normally we have a 33 foot right of way on that. Mark, do you know for sure what we have out there?
It'd be 66 foot.
Yeah, so it's 66 foot right of way. It's 33 foot
On
from
each
center
side.
line, from either direction. So, you know, if it's 10 foot from the roadway, is that how far?
No, not from the road.
Jason,
The property line.
Jason, how far is it from the road to the property line?
11 feet.
11 feet.
Yep.
It's just 11 feet from the
From the
property
road?
line to the
from the property
shed.
line, yes,
From
I'm
the
sorry.
road,
From
it's
the
a little
road.
farther.
I didn't measure from the road, I just measured from the property line.
So the property line to the road is what,
That's what-
11 feet?
No, it's 11
But,
feet. It's 11 feet from the property line to the pad.
Oh, do we have rapid map on here? Oh, there it is.
That's right. Yeah,
I think
exactly,
his
that's where
property line, he still has that easement from the road, but
So-
11 foot from his property
So
line.
there's 33 feet, then his property line, then 11 feet to the shed.
Correct.
So he's out of the right of way by 33 feet before it hits his property line, which is another 11 feet, which is 43, 44 feet away.
Madam Chair,
You still believe that's sorry, Commissioner, you still believe with your 33 feet, Joe, that he would still be a hazard with the shed there at 33 feet plus 11?
No, at that time it wouldn't be. I don't recall the comments from Bill. Usually does those. I don't recall the comments on this one.
Mark?
Try and look at all of them, but I don't recall what this one was.
Mark Schock, Pennington County Highway. I haven't looked at this recently, but I'm pretty certain that we commented that highway does not support any setback variances. Just mainly due to needs of future construction, or as Joe said, crash hazards, and also possible snow drifting.
So Mark, again, you're 33, if there's a right-of-way there, there's 33 feet, then there's 11 feet before you hit this shed.
The right of way could encompass.
It looks like this is on a section line,
Yep,
so there's 66 foot of right of way.
33 on each side.
Whether the road is centered on that 66 foot, we wouldn't know without a survey or knowing where the property.
Can we see that picture up? Let's get as close as we can to the shed and the road, guys.
On rapid map, it appears that it's fairly centered
Yep.
in that right of way.
Yep.
But it does show curvature in the lines where a section line should be completely straight, you know.
It says 31.35. Is that what you got, Joe? To me, Commissioner.
To the edge of the road, it looks like it's 25 foot.
Area away from the right of way, and then
with
his
you.
shed is a little bit different than 11 feet from a road.
I'm with
I guess that's why I was misunderstanding it. So how far is it, Joe, before?
Looks like it's, and rapid map is not accurate. It's accurate to a point, but it looks like it's approximately 25 feet from the road surface.
And then he's got 11 feet before it hits his shed.
Well, I tried to go from the edge of the shed there, whether
Going
that's
from his shed to the right of way instead of the property line to the right of way?
correct. I went from the edge of it, what I assume is the pad. I'm assuming these aerials are with just the pad.
He's going
Yeah,
from
this
the
is just a pad here.
So we went from the edge of the pad to the edge of the road surface is approximately 25 feet. At that point, it's out of the clear zone. But as Mark stated, we are against any variance to those setbacks just due to, we just went through all the right-of-way stuff on Sheridan, and we had some issues there as well, so.
And you have some trees that are right up to the road on the other side for drifting and the things you guys are talking about. If you look at those big trees and stuff right there.
They are.
Yeah, and those are on the south side of the road, so.
So they're kind of taking some of that drift and some of that stuff you're talking about because of that, and then the shed by it. So,
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Roskinek.
can we go back to the picture that shows the shed? So if I've got this straight, the wall to the left, that would be what direction on
That's
that
to
shed?
that's to the north.
Okay, so the north side of your shed, if I got this right, is 11 feet from the property line.
Correct.
And so I assume that there's a survey stake, so we know where that property line is.
I don't think you can see it here,
But-
but there is, yeah.
Okay, so if we go back to that picture, and if I got this right, he's got to be 25 feet, that shed's got to be 25 feet from the property line, is that correct?
without a variance, yes.
Right. without a variance.
That's correct.
Okay, so then where, that shed is 20 by 28 feet, so the wall that I'm looking at facing me, would that be the 28 or the 20?
That's the 20.
Okay, so if you wanted to leave that shed where it was at and dismantle the left side, put it on the right, so you didn't have to totally take it down, meet your 25-foot setback, would that work?
That's an option.
It's not, I mean, it's not
No,
the
no,
ideal,
it has, we have,
but you could at least
have
keep it
kicked
in the
that
same
around.
place. Or maybe we could find a compromise instead of 11 feet, 20 feet. I'm just trying to figure out what might work for the county and
Yeah,
what
I
might
mean,
work for you.
we'd considered a couple of things to do, either extend the pad from that other side, because that, what you see there covers the entire pad, so you can't really see it. Go back that 11 feet that we're asking for here and go back into our property 11 feet to fit the pad.
You'd probably want to do it in 4-foot segments because that's your plywood comes in, or OSB comes in 4x8, so.
So to go back or to put down another pad or something like that.
So is the road that, no? That's not the road,
It
right?
looks, yeah, the road looks like it's.
That's the ditch that has the snow and then the road's to the left.
Yeah, the road's to the left
To
of the
say
ditch that
that's
has.
not 25 feet.
The road is right here. You know, pictures are very deceiving. It looks like it's probably
There
20,
you go.
25 foot. I would assume the edge of the road is somewhere in here.
Yeah.
And then, you know, pictures are very deceiving. It's probably 20, 25 foot from the edge of the road.
And where's the next property closest to this,
2 miles.
Jason? Down the road.
70, or, oops, sorry.
Let's go back to Rapid Map.
See, we're 14,279. That, our neighbors have a small house there. That's the closest neighbor.
If the
Madam
trees and
Chair.
stuff were there, it probably, I'd say different, but you have trees, I mean, you can cut those down, I understand, but, or do we plan on doing any kind of building anything close to this shed or expanding this road anytime in the future? Another, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, that's not on the plan as of right now, but, you know, Sheridan Lake Road wasn't on the plan 10 years ago, so.
Well, we did a contingent on one of the properties, remember, if they ever built the road or did something, didn't we do that with one of our people?
It was on Old Hill City Road.
Yes, where we said if we built something.
Could be responsible
Yes,
for
to tear it
moving his,
down.
yeah.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner LaCroy.
I would be open to something along those lines for the simple fact that I appreciate a resident admitting he is wrong. I think.
Thank you.
Well, I don't mean that, but I mean.
I know, listen, we were
You brought it,
really
you brought
ignorant
it
this
to
whole
our
process.
attention. It's not like we went out and found it and we're trying to deal with it. It was, and you're trying to fix it. I think he showed great dignity and pursuing to fix the problem. And I think, something along those lines was something in writing. If something happens that,
Expansion of the road or
yeah, the
something.
expansion of the
Joseph,
road.
do you have that agreement, that Hill City agreement, that we can do kind of the same thing for Mr. Swanson here?
I don't know that the state's attorney worked on that. I think the highway would be in favor of something like along those lines, is if the road is ever expanded or future right of way is needed, that we wouldn't be responsible for the shed.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Works for me.
Bruce.
I would just say to the Swansons, I think for either you or future owners of that property, you'd probably be better off of moving that location instead of building there.
You think it'd be better to, well, I don't think there's much of an argument there.
Yeah.
Madam Chair.
Now that we know what we know.
Yeah, right.
Now,
Commissioner.
just to make lemonade out of lemons, if you extend your pad and move the shed back on the pad, then you have a patio.
Jeez, you guys.
Trust me, I have thought about that. It's
Okay,
true.
so are we in agreement for the,
So I got one more question.
okay. Commissioner Roskinek.
Joe, where does Miller Road, where's that road end up going, and what's the daily traffic count on that?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna tell you.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Michelle Hoffman, State's Attorney's Office. My understanding of the road that was in question in the Hill City area, the variance in the Hill City area, that the variance, although it was discussed, the agreement was discussed in terms of having to move that structure in the future, that the board approved the variance without requiring that agreement. With that being said, if the board should choose to approve the variance in this case, I would encourage the board to require the property owner to enter such agreement.
So we didn't have the other property or agree? I thought we did, in order to make it an approval. We did not? Okay.
That would be my motion, to approve it with a stipulation that if we, in the future, widen the road, that the property owner pays for moving the shed.
And I'll second that for discussion. How many, did we figure out the road count is what we're finding out right now? That might help decision for other commissioners on that this shed is not going to cause a lot of issue where it's going to be standing.
I assume that's not a real heavily traveled road at present.
It's not.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner LaCroix.
I'm in support of the motion on the floor. I just want to figure out a way to make sure that it's registered with the deed, so next property owner at closing time is aware of that. Because that's where we run into our problems, is when properties change hands and we don't know. So with that agreement, is there a way, Michelle, do you know of any way that
Nick would probably know.
yeah.
Ron, do you know how you would put that agreement if we had on the deed or
You're
something?
not going to see it on a deed. I think it would have to be a miscellaneous document that would be recorded, that the deed would refer to that document, kind of like what we did with the helicopters.
Right.
That'd be my guess.
Michelle Hoffman, State's Attorney's Office. Yes, I think we would simply attach the agreement with the property owner to the deed.
Okay.
And then would that be enforceable?
Any variance can be granted based upon conditions, and this is a condition, would be a condition of granting the variance. Attaching the miscellaneous document would at least put future property owners on notice.
And that would show up in a title search.
It should, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Drews.
I'm gonna vote against it, but, and I agree with Lloyd, appreciate Swanson's coming forward on this. I just don't like to see anything that's gonna have to be potentially moved in the future of allowing it to move forward, and so that's why I'm gonna vote against it.
Thank you. Any other discussion? There's a motion by DeSantos, second by Hadcock. Was it me? Did I second it?
Yeah.
I thought I did. Okay.
No, I think
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No, good.
Aye.
All opposed?
No,
So 4 ayes, 1 no, requested.
Yeah, we really appreciate your flexibility and keeping the discussion open. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Next is item B. Ms. Brittany? Thank you, Joseph. Thank you for your information, Joe.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brittany Molitor. Item B is variance of VA 1913 to reduce the minimum required front yard setback from 25 feet to 0 feet, to reduce the western property line from 8 feet to 3 feet, and to allow the carport in the front yard in suburban residential district. The applicant Seema and Alan Ryan are requesting a setback variance. On September 5th, 2019, staff was informed the applicants had placed a structure in the front yard encroaching into setbacks. The county ordinance enforcement opened an ordinance violation, COVO 19-123. Staff informed Mr. and Mrs. Ryan that the carport could temporarily be stored in their backyard until the Board of Commissioners, aka the Board of Adjustment, could hear their request. As the property stands today, it is zoned suburban residential district. It consists of 0.16 acres. Access is taken off of Meadow Ridge Drive, and there is no special flood hazard area on the property. There is a single-family residence, one shed, and the property is connected to Rapid Valley Sanitary District. This was routed through the interdepartmental review process. The only items of concern, well, there was two. One from County Highway that they are not in favor of reducing the front yard setback, and the second was from Rapid City Community Planning, as it looks like there are 8-foot minor drainage and utility easements along the interior lot lines. So with that, this variance was advertised, and so the public hearing does need to continue, even though we are gonna have to continue this until a later date, until those minor drainage and utility easements can be vacated.
So we can just continue it now, even though this is a hearing, we can make a motion to continue.
Correct, and with the exception, or with the caveat that the public, if there is public in the audience that needs to comment on it, they have the opportunity. But we would recommend that this hearing be continued until January 21st, 2020.
We have a motion, and then we'll see if the public is here.
Motion to continue.
Motion by Roskinick,
Second.
second by LaCroy. Miss Michelle, did you have some information, please?
Michelle Hoffman, State's Attorney's Office. I just wanted to clarify that when a matter has been noticed by publication, public hearing, that we need to make sure that the public is invited to speak, and once comment is taken, then the board may continue the matter for decision. But it's important that we make sure when we have a noticed hearing that the public be invited to speak.
Thank you, Miss Michelle. We don't have any speaker requests on this. Did we miss anybody from the public who would like to speak on item B? If not, we'll move forward with the continuance. Motion made by Roskinick, second by LaCroy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next, we'll have the closing of Board of Adjustment, please.
So move.
Moved by Drews,
Second.
second by Roskinick. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries. Next is consent agenda, Miss Brittany.
The Board of Commissioners uses a consent agenda to act on non-controversial and routine planning and zoning items quickly. The consent agenda is acted upon by one motion and vote of the board. Items may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda at the request of a board member or a citizen. The consent agenda for planning and zoning contains the following items: Major Plan Unit Development Amendment Review, PU 1801 for Deerfield Cabins LLC. Dion Winia is the agent, and staff is recommending approval of Plan Unit Development Review, PU 1801 with 22 conditions, and the Planning Commission did also concur on those. However, there is one change to condition number 22. It should read September 28th, 2020 instead of 2019.
Thank you, Miss Brittany. So do we have a motion with that change?
So move.
Moved by LaCroy,
Second.
second by DeSanto. Anybody from the item, or from the public like to pull item C at this time before we make that motion? All right. If not, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Regular agenda, item D.
Morning, Commissioners. Jason Thennison, County Planner. Agenda item D is Layout Plan 1941. The applicant and landowner is Gordon Howie. The other affected landowner is Diana Foster. Surveyor is Long Branch Civil Engineering. The applicant, Gordon Howie, has applied for layout plan to reconfigure interior lot lines of existing subject properties. Existing lots on the left. Both lots are zoned low-density residential. Both contain special flood hazard area, and both take access off of Antelope Creek Road via shared 40-foot wide platted access easement. Lot 4 consists of 3.02 acres and contains a platted drain field easement supporting Lot 5. Lot 5 consists of 3.03 acres and contains a platted access easement on the western portion of the property supporting lots 7 and 8 to the north and south. The proposed lots on the right of the slide Both lots will continue to be zoned low-density residential district. Both will have special flood hazard area. Lot 4R will become 3.024 acres and still contain the platted drain field easement supporting Lot 5. It will also contain 3 access easements. The first one is, if you look to the screen, is down here off of Antelope Creek Road. Currently, that access easement supports Lot 5 and Lot 4. As it's drawn on the layout plan, it only supports Lot 4. The continued use of that easement is requested to also serve Lot 5, so that's a condition of approval. The second access easement on that property will be another 40-foot wide platted access easement on the western portion of the property. That's going to continue to serve Lot 7 and Lot 8. And there's going to be a new access easement created in the lower portion of Lot 4R, down here on the southern edge. That's going to be 47 foot by 91 foot to be created with this plat to allow the owners of access, or owners of Lot 7 access to a barn that's currently located in that location. Lot 5R will consist of 3.026 acres and also contain the 40-foot wide platted access easement supporting Lot 7 and Lot 8. The request was sent out for interdepartmental review. We received comments from County Highway noting that floodplain limits need to be drawn and included on the plat. That was not included, and it will be a condition of approval moving forward. And for purposes of layout plan, staff finds no significant issues with the applicant's request as it appears to be in harmony with existing lots and current uses in the area. Therefore, staff recommends approval of layout plan LPL 1941 with 6 conditions.
Move for approval with the condition.
Moved by DeSanto,
Second.
second by LaCroy. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We didn't ask the public because I don't think the commissioners had any questions to ask you at this point, unless you'd like to speak. Okay, thank you. Item 17 is items from Commission Office Manager, Ms. Holly. Item A, please.
Commissioners, what you have in front of you today is a draft policy for cell phone usage for Pennington County employees. This is a result of the IRS audit that we recently went through. We did not have anything in writing. And so basically this is just putting our policy and practice down into words. The biggest change, I guess, that I could tell you is that we will be requiring disclosure forms and having employees submit the front page of their bill to prove once a year what their cost is so that we know they're not making money on it, that we're only paying actual cost.
Okay, any questions for Ms. Holly?
Holly, Madam Chair.
Commissioner?
When I was reading through that and I seen that front page deal, so can they take a snapshot and email it, or does they have to print it out? Because I'm thinking of the commission themselves too, going through the phone bill.
Are you concerned with like account number privacy?
No, just
ease of submittal?
yeah. Like my bill's automatically paid, so I get the statement, but you're talking for the end of the year type one. Is that something we have to look up and try to find and print out, or is it gonna be every December we should, because I don't know if your phone bill shows a collective cost for the whole year. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
We don't want whole total cost. We just want the front page of one bill.
One bill.
Just
Okay.
one bill, so we know what your monthly cost is, so that we're in compliance with reimbursement.
Okay, I was getting
And
collective.
for record keeping purposes, I would prefer to have a paper copy somehow of that front page.
I totally agree with that, because then you have some records to show what the variances are in different phone companies' bills, to find out if that cost, that allowance for a cell phone is justified, or if it should be higher or lower.
Correct.
As the years go. Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
Move for approval.
Moved by LaCroy,
Second.
Second by DeSanto. Any other questions? Not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item B.
Commissioners, item B is just an informational item for you. I wanted to let you know that we opened the air quality liaison position and we did not receive any applicants. This is a board that we have struggled to find a county representative for. Commissioners do sit on there, but the county also has the ability to appoint a citizen representative. So I did go ahead and open it again. Citizen interest forms will be due on Friday, December 20th. And this is just to encourage anybody who may be qualified and is interested in serving the community in this field of air quality. I am happy to report that Joan showed me we got one in the mail this morning. So we
Nice.
do have one applicant for this go around, but we'd definitely like to see some more interest on
I
that.
think we should appoint Mike Cool since he's in the audience today. You just voluntold there, Mike? Just kidding. Teasing you, Mike.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner.
Holly, is that on our Facebook page?
Yes, sir.
I usually try to share all that stuff when I'm just trying to make sure that maybe we didn't. Okay.
Yeah, we posted on the bulletin board. I send it out to all the media outlets. Joan puts it on Facebook for us.
Joe, you have a Facebook for your highway too. Maybe you could help us out on yours.
Yeah, we try and share most of it.
You could put that on there for us too.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. So next is items from chair and commission members. The comprehensive plan meeting is tomorrow at 9. We're going to try to get as much done as we can by 12:30, 1 o'clock, because there is a groundbreaking in Hill City. And then we can always continue it till the 18th of anything we have left, if that's okay with the commissioners.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Just so, Holly, you have an understanding. All right, honey. Okay. Committee reports. Who wants to go first today?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner DeSanto.
Lloyd and I attended the 4-H judging for trip to Washington, D.C. They had 3 applicants. All 3 applicants were excellent. It always impresses me what our kids what their abilities are when they apply themselves. It was a difficult decision, but we did come down to a decision as first, second, and third, and enjoyed reading it. We did make one suggestion that we get the essays a couple of days in advance, because it's hard to read an essay and then compare it to the other 2 essays and come up with a good decision in a period of an hour or so like that. But I think Lloyd and I made really good decisions as far as who was going and that kind of stuff. So it was fun. I always enjoy, like I said, it gives me renewed faith that in our kids that we've got kids out there that apply themselves and really put some effort into accomplishing things instead of just expecting it to be dropped in their lap.
I've done that before where I've judged, and I'll tell you, if they're 10 years old, they just are amazing.
Yeah.
Or not even just 10, but I watched a 10-year-old girl that was just, you thought she was, the president of the United States, the way she was talking. She had it so down pat. I was like shocked.
Well, it's neat to see how many. The one thing that impressed me, and I think Lloyd was impressed too, is looking at the number of things that they're involved in, and yet still getting top grades. And they're just kids that don't make excuses. It's
Well, I
pretty
just
cool.
got asked to judge the same thing for South Dakota Tech. They're having a speaking engagement. It's going to be all day. They've got a bunch of people that have entered. I've never done that before, but it'll be neat to do the comparable from, okay, this is where you're at now. You're in college. You're doing these kind of things.
Right.
So I'm excited to see the difference in if maybe the older we get, the more freaked out we get, or we even get better.
A word of advice
Yes.
is hold off on your scoring till you hear a ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's actually a good plan. That's cool.
That's all I have to report.
Ross Connect?
I attended the November meeting of the Pennington County Council of Aging, where we actually met in our commission meeting room. It was a well-attended meeting. We had cookies and water. We're going to focus on expanding services, mainly meals to the elderly and transportation to the elderly. We will have our December meeting tomorrow at 1 o'clock at the Alpine Inn. I also attended I'm not a liaison to the Pennington County Housing and Redevelopment. They don't have a liaison. I'm thinking that maybe they should have a liaison. I didn't even know that group existed until I started getting issues, and I've taken my issues to them, and to me, it's falling on deaf ears. The one in particular that they've not made a decision on, but they could, but they haven't, is LEAP. It's an acronym that I didn't know 2 months ago. It's Low Income Energy Assistance Program. And on a local level, they have the discretion to implement that, but they're coming up with a number of excuses why they can't. And we've got a lot of involved folks in the county that they're not going along with that. So they have not formed an answer yet, but I've been going to the meetings the last 3 or 4, and I really think that they need a liaison, and I might even volunteer for that position if we go that route.
Ron, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Barry and the state representative Adam are in favor as well. So the governor's office is also in favor of having that LEAP through those programs. So it's not just Ron and a group of people that he's saying. It's actually the state and our own representative for Care Campus are asking him why not. So that's why Ron's fighting that hard. It's not because Ron thinks so. It's because our, our programs and our things that we do are part of that. So anything that's helping for the next step, and basically they were saying about the paperwork. Well, it's going to be a burden at first to do the paperwork because changes aren't so great. But once you get it down, as Barry said, then that paperwork and everything becomes second nature. So I also believe in what Ron's saying, and some of those programs I did look into and have been at one of the meetings. I will be at the next meeting as well.
And they have a number of properties. Got the 3 high risers, then they got what they call scattered housing, and I think there's about 160 of those. And another complaint that I had was from a couple that lived in an area close to one of the county-owned houses or that particular organization, and just a lot of irregular activity. And so I think we're getting that resolved, but it's been a long process. I don't think that it should take that long. When you decrease people's property values by irregular behavior, that needs to be addressed and sooner than later. Lastly, I attended the Black Hills League of Local Government. It was a special meeting. Ollie DeMerseman is moving on to another area in government, and so we're looking for an executive director. We had a candidate that from Aberdeen, very well qualified. She agreed to. We posted that position for $70,000 a year, 5% increase after 3 months. She came back, said, "I'll take the job, but I want 75,000 a year," and so we came up with a compromise, and I have not heard yet if she's going to take the job or not. So that's about all I've got.
Thank you, Ron. Gary?
The only thing I'd comment on is also on the Pennington County Housing Authority. I would agree with everything that Ron has said in regard to it. From the comments that I've received on it, I do believe that we either need to have one of the commission members be on that board or a liaison on there. So I think as we move forward, that's one of the things that we need to consider as to what we need to do there to assist. That's all I have.
Thank you. I agree only because I'm also working with another group of people. Ron has found the solution with the first set of people that needed some help, but we're finding once we get in there that there's a list of things that need to have a little bit better solution to them. Basically, if you have rules and regulations, they have to be followed through, from having housing and having Section 8 housing in my case. There's just, if people have a list and they have a program that they're supposed to follow, those need to have a person that is going and checking, just like we do as landlords, to make sure those tenants are following those rules and regulations. And we're finding a little bit that, not a little bit, a lot, that is not getting followed through. So if it's petty complaints, I mean, things are going to happen, but these are pretty big complaints on what's happening with breaking the law, and we're finding out that that wasn't hearsay, that was truth. So um, we're not trying to go after housing. What we're trying to do is help them find the solution and see where we can go from there and how Pennington County can help, because we are a part of that through Care Campus and everything we do as well. So hopefully it actually makes it a lot easier, and I'm not harder on them having one of us or a liaison for that to try to help them find some of the solutions and how to get there.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner.
just one comment. Because of the name, Pennington County Housing Authority, some of the people that have been in contact with me feel that we have control over that. The only thing that we have the right to do is appoint the commission members to that
Yes, sir.
board. So we don't have any other authority with that board.
Thank you.
Good point.
Yes.
But that is our I think our responsibility is that board. So having a liaison and having somebody that can help the rest of the commission make the decision to be able to make those appointments, I think.
Yep. To me, it's transparency. We just haven't had that. They've been kind of running on their own. We've never been involved. Even if we don't have any jurisdiction, we need to be involved so we understand what's going on, especially when people are coming to us with complaints. As a commissioner, I feel it's our duty to follow up on them.
Well, their scattered housing is in our district, so it does make a difference for us trying to help with those solutions. Plus, again, we have the people in our county, like Barry and others, that I think you get a faster result with a commissioner or someone with a little bit more authority to move some of that forward, which they need help with. So I think it's going to be a win-win situation. We just got to make sure we do it right and help them out. The other thing I'd like to talk about is I went to the planning luncheon yesterday, and it was lots of fun. They have a good team of people, lots of stories from Christina, and Dwayne brought some really good sandwiches that you're eating today. That was from the planning department. We had some salsa from one of the commissioners that was amazing. We had brownies from our fire administrator was there. So food's always a good compliment to bringing the team together and having lots of laughs during the holiday season. So Christina put on a really good luncheon yesterday for her team. So I enjoyed it a whole lot. So thank you to the planning department. Commissioner LaCroix.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank Mark, because I mean, during those interviews, one of the things I wanted to express is that, you know, that gave us the opportunity to have good discussions with some of those young people. And Mark did praise them for the work that they've done and how proud he was of them. And I think that goes a long way. And they did ask us as commissioners what our responsibilities are and that type of stuff. And so that was good. The other thing I did attend was, and I owe Ms. Hadcock a gratitude for showing up for the planning commission, because my workload looked like I wasn't going to be able to do it, and she offered to cover for me. And then I get in Monday morning, and my workload was nil, and so I appreciate her taking the time out over the weekend to study up on planning commission. And sorry I discomforted you at the late notice.
Discover, you're so funny.
I don't know how to put that.
No, communicate. He did say he's sorry, and he's going to work on his communication.
And then from
As
there, you know, I did have, we did the final piece. I've shared some of the stuff with the commission on this collective healing that Department of Justice grant had funded, and we've been working on this collective healing. And what it is it's to build healing between the Native American community and the police department. And we've been working on this for over right around a year. It's been a year, just about that. We had many public hearings, took many public comments, and had great discussions. I mean, these meetings went from 6 to 9 every time we had it. It was at 3 hours, and the group, we started out with big, and it narrowed down to a smaller group of people. But one of the things we finally did is narrowed it down to and get the information to request from suggestions from the police department is what it is, to how to be able to deal with the Native American community. And so what we finally did, with the help of you know who I'm talking about, the news guy,
Stuart.
Stuart Hunting's was involved from the beginning to the end, and he's the one that made this YouTube video, orchestrated it, and got the group involved. But they made a video asking for more public comment before we finalize our suggestions and send them to the police department for their responses. And I meant to get here but a little bit early, but I think I ended up having to go up to the parking ramp to park, and it took me longer to get. I was going to show it to Deb and Gary a little bit to see if we can show that video today and get people to click onto the YouTube to be able to view it and share their comments if they have comments.
Can you show that, Holly? Joan's got it already?
She's gonna load it up.
It's about 30 seconds long, and
You got it dialed in, Joan. Good job, Joan. He does all our audio and video stuff. We appreciate Joan a whole lot. Except when she puts screens up and down. She's not smiling. No sound.
oh, that's the best part of it.
Turn up just a little bit, Joan. You can barely hear it. Keep going. Can't hear it yet, Joan. Okay.
Pull it up on here if you want to talk about something else.
Oh.
Pull it up on this one.
But anyhow, you're going to see this young man right here. He just got back from France from an art project that he oversees the art permits for Art Alley. You've seen the report on him about a month or so ago. He's been involved in our group for the whole time too. So he's the one that made up our logo, painted it up, and done that. And you'll see that further in the end.
4 directions.
Yeah.
Is that a star quilt behind it? Or is that a star quilt all together?
No,
What is that?
it's all a painting, but since it's froze, you're just seeing a part of it. He did a mural for it. I want to say his name's Richard. But one of the other people that we had involved is Richard Bronstein, and he was the one that I spent 4 years on the Civil Rights Commission for South Dakota. He's with South Dakota University, and he's the one that facilitated this and has facilitated other gatherings with the police department and the Native community, trying to find collective healing initiatives that are trying to get people to work together. He's done a lot of work in that area, and he is actually from New York. So coming from New York to South Dakota and seeing the changes, just like Stuart, he's really in awe with the Native community and what involved with it. So.
Okay, we're ready, Lloyd.
The Department of Justice launched the Collective Healing Initiative to serve
communities like ours in Rapid City
that have low levels of trust in the police and not struggle with violence and crime.
A group was formed here in Rapid City to talk about local concerns
so that Rapid City Police could
better understand why many natives
do not
trust them.
Our group was also formed to share recommendations for ways the police could
better serve our relatives.
Collective healing refers to relationships between Native Americans
And police officers, but also it refers to individuals
so they find a path of recovery from historical trauma
and find a good place in a Rapid City community. We spent the last year meeting each month to share stories and ideals about historical trauma and collective healing. As we get close to finishing our list of recommendations, we began to feel that the list would not have as much meaning coming from our group alone.
We believe a list of
recommendations should come from the Oyate.
Not just our group.
We are reaching out to you
to add your voice to these recommendations. The list is posted on our Facebook group,
CHI Rapid City.
Please share your comments on whether you feel each numbered idea is a good idea.
Share your thoughts on new recommendations to include on this list.
After the Oyate shares thoughts on these recommendations, we will present a final list of ideas to the Rapid City Police Department at a public meeting later this year.
After the meeting with the Rapid City Police, it will be up to them to put our ideals in place
so the Native community in Rapid City
can enjoy a more trusting
and safe relationship with
RCPD.
We expect Rapid City Police Department to let us know specifically which ideas will be adopted and which will not.
For those ideals that are not adopted, we expect RCPD to share reasons why and what RCPD is willing to do to meet the needs represented in those ideals. Again, we cannot
finish this work without you. Please share your thoughts on the current list of ideas on CHI Rapid City.
Follow CHI Rapid City as we expand and change the list with your help.
Good video.
That was it.
That was a good video.
Okay. Tell me when I shoot. Black Hills are not for sale.
Black Hills are not for sale.
Gotta say Black Hills are not for sale. The Black Hills are not for sale.
Messed up, huh? No. Oh, really? Who's got young blood's paper?
I gotta rebraid my hair real quick, man. Hold on.
Let's do it one more time from the top.
You're good. Black Hills not for sale.
No.
The Black Hills are not for sale. The Black Hills are not for sale.
The Black Hills are not for sale.
What does that mean?
It was just an icebreaker at the end of all the stuff. Is what it meant.
Black Hills are not for sale.
Stewart added that in.
Jeez. Alrighty. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. Next, we'll have public comment, or no, vouchers, I'm sorry. $313,662.78. Motion, please.
I'll move their approval.
Moved by Drews.
Second.
Second by LaCroy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Items from the public. You guys would be the public? Nope, okay.
Move
Next.
to go into executive session.
Okay, personnel issue SDCL 1-25-2-1, and then contracting pending litigation per SDCL 1-25-2-3.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries. Did you get the people that did that motion? Okay, motion to come out of executive session. Moved by Drews,
Second.
second by Roskinen. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. First motion, please.
I would move, Madam Chair, to place Mike Cool at a grade 24, step 26 on the Pennington County pay scale for a biweekly pay rate of $4,166.40 effective January 12, 2020.
Is there a motion?
So,
Motion by Lloyd, second by DeSanto. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Lloyd?
I would move to place John Morrell at a grade 24, step 10 on Pennington County pay scale for the biweekly pay rate of $3,414.40 effective January 12, 2020.
Got a motion by LaCroy, second by Drews. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed,
Madam Chair,
motion carries.
before we adjourn, I just wanted to make the comment, appreciate you guys letting us show that video. The last part of the clip was probably a fun clip that they did towards the end of their stuff. It wasn't meant to be offensive. So I'll make sure to pass that on.
And then the other thing is don't forget about the employee party, December 6th, which is Friday. What time does it start, Holly?
11:30?
11:30 till
About 1.
1?
No, 1:30.
1:30.
1:30 to 1:30.
Okay, we are giving, on behalf of this commission, prizes and stuff. We got Watiki passes, and we got some gift certificate, or gift cards, and we got baskets. So we have a heck of a party going on for our employees.
Okay.
So if we can all be there, make a presence and bring some food. I'm gonna bring some ham and bean kind of chili soup, so be ready.
Party on.
Good.
You'll have the whole weekend to disperse. Okay, motion to adjourn,
So moved.
moved by DeSanto,
Second.
second by LaCroy. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Joan and Holly, for today. Always taking care of us. We appreciate you a whole lot.